congratulations, you all. I mean, what an incredible piece to put together. And Reggie, I actually want to start with you, because I had a moment when I was watching the show where I was like, you know what's so amazing is this comes from nothing to what it is now on the stage that we're seeing, and that all comes from you, and you are the starting point for all of this, and then it, as you said, builds a village and grows from there. So I just wanted to ask you, you know, what inspired you to write and then direct this piece?
Yeah, I don't even know where to start with that. I would say it started in undergrad, when I was in undergraduate studies in university, and it had to do mainly with there was a task I was given in a class taught by a writer named Tisa Bryant, who was one of my favorite professors at the time, and she said, you know, appropriation, if you look at it from another angle, is actually the way that we have passed down stories. So appropriate something, take something. And my mom used to tell me this myth when I was like a child and going to bed, and it was something that she would tell me, this myth of this woman who took this medicine to live forever, and then she flew to the moon, and then from there she stayed. And then I got older, and I started sort of trying to understand myself as an individual and the world around me and what it meant to be not just a woman, but an Asian woman. And then this story sort of kept returning to me. And then obviously the parts that I'm not telling you are the parts that were influenced by very personal, very sort of painful experiences that it's not necessary to really share. But from there, just sort of came about this 5-part text, this 5-part poem, which is in little bits of what the chorus, usually when the tango music comes on, that's the parts of it that were actually originally there. But everything else was sort of built after I returned from Europe at the end of last year. And I got a call from Val, who I worked with prior. She was my director, and I was an actress in her short film, and she said, I want to do something, do you have anything? And there was something in my brain that was like, well, this, because on the back of the paper itself was, you know, a little note from my professor, and she just said, like, I think you should keep this one day and do something, like let it exist one day, because I don't think it should be kept just for you. And I said, okay, and then a year later, here we are, so, yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Val, I'll hand over to you then. So obviously you and Reggie got in touch, and so this is the start of getting that ball rolling. And how did you pull the team together? How did it manifest?
Well, I actually want to start with my film crew, who's right there in row 2. Because today in the morning, Alvar, who's managing camera right, wrote a text in our WhatsApp group and talked about what it had meant to be part of this team in the past maybe month or so. And it was roughly, I won't quote you, because I don't remember, but it was roughly that it had really impacted the way he saw making art and the type of people he wanted to make art with. So from the moment Reggie called me, in the back of my head, I thought, I don't want Reggie to leave Hong Kong. I want Reggie to exploit all the talent that she's got. And I want to keep working with her because we worked on a project, it worked lovely. She's got an idea, she's got a push, she's got emotion, she wants to share something with the world, and I can help her achieve that. So I feel like that was the ignition of the engine for this project. And so we began contacting friends who knew friends, who might be able to do the set design well, maybe an architect, who might be able to do the music well, maybe a composer. Perhaps she hasn't done music for theater before, but she has composed thoroughly in other areas. So it began to be this sort of mix and match of finding people with skills that could be transferable, with enough professionalism to make this project sort of the next stepping stone for Tinta towards being a leading storytelling company in Hong Kong. So that was kind of my pitch when we found them. We were like, hey, this is what we're trying to do. Are you in or not?
Amazing. Well, you just made my job very easy because now we can transition over to Jing. And so obviously just talking about being a composer, not necessarily having done pieces specifically for theatre or let's say physical theatre at that. So what was that creative process? How do you take on a challenge like this?
Well, I have to say it is challenging actually. Yeah, so normally we compose like pieces for orchestra works, for chamber music, or even theatrical music. But this kind of conceptual and also physical theater, which needs the music to collaborate with all cast together. So at the very beginning of the composition, I read the script, and I thought it was an amazing script. And I did some notes on the script and into details actually. So how do we put music for some scenes or something like that. After that, we had a discussion. Reggie and I, we had some discussion about to confirm some details. After that, I started to compose. So as you already recognized in the show, the music contains two parts. The first part is about the musical parts, which is the tango part. Another part is actually the soundscape, as you can hear that, right? It's something I think is quite very special thing is our musicians, they don't play the role of background music. They're actually expressing themselves. So like they have their own perspectives to show people that how do they think of the story in a musical way. And so I mixed a lot of different extended technique into this show. So yeah, so this.
Well, congratulations, because it was very enjoyable. Wonderful. And then I think, Alyssa, I'll just pass to you. I'm going to change the question just a little bit and say, so obviously your background is in architecture, and you know, you've done all the set design for us here for this project. And what did you find was the most challenging part within the design that you did for this set?
I would say, so it was my first time doing scenographic design, and more than just the built elements, it was about how to incorporate light, even wind, and how the actors are interacting with the different elements. So when Reggie came to me with a blank slate, I was like, that's a lot of freedom, but also huge responsibilities. So in terms of the spatial design, the main element is really the screen. And that's what defines interior versus exterior, women's world versus man's world, and like the softness of domesticity. And the fabric, the chiffon, it's a very beautiful material, but it's really through the activation with light, with wind, also the projection, that gives it another layer of its life. And then we were also working with a lot of local motifs. So I've always been very fascinated with bamboo scaffolding and hoarding around different buildings around Hong Kong. And so this is actually a board motif from that. And then there's also these vases that became the main prop design for it. And we were looking at traditional Ming vases, but instead of just buying one off the store, how can we abstract it, reconceptualize it, and then also integrate an element of lighting so that it again becomes this interactive element that allows the actors to really tell this narrative.
That's great. Thank you very much for sharing that. And I did have a question for Liane, but I think she's still just maybe getting ready or decomposing. Decomposing? That's not the right word. Well, she technically didn't know what it is. Oh, hello! Come have a seat. Perfect timing. Do you have the energy for a question?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Well, I just had a question for you, which was that I wanted to ask how you felt the journey of this project has been for you, and how do you feel like it's transformed your performance skills? Because my understanding is you are primarily trained as a dancer, and this is the first time you've actually tackled physical performance and delivering lines as well, and you landed the lead role, so it's an incredible achievement, and we'd just love to hear a bit more about that.
Thank you for that question. Yeah, so this is, just want to say thank you to the team here for birthing this creation and for giving me this opportunity to journey through this. As Clarissa said, this is my first acting work, and it has been a huge challenge that I did not really anticipate, didn't think too much about it, just fell into the role without really knowing so much about it. And it's been I think it's been really transformative in a way that using vocal language to storytell is something that is very precious, and it's so innate to our human nature and our ancestral knowledge, history, that it is very potent. And with me as a background as a dancer, movement has been that form, but with the language is a craft, it is art, and it is an arc in itself. And to storytell in that way is very different from just using the body, because there is so much more depth that one can explore in the narrative, and also in the emotional vortex that this narrative has. And I feel like spoken word is a very essential ingredient element to that. And yeah, storytelling is so much part of this journey. Storytelling is a way of expressing unarticulated memory. And it's not just saying memory, my own memory, but the memory of the collective, the memory of generations of people, if I can say that. But I really do think it's not just about an individual. And that, I think, to me, that is the journey, is the storytelling. And it's also why I decided to take up this role as a challenge. Thank you for that question.
Thank you for that answer. It's a wonderful answer.
I think it's different.
Yeah, right. Okay, I just want to pause here maybe and just see if anyone in the audience had something they might like to ask or explore. I can hand over the microphone if anybody has a question.
Yeah. Congratulations, that was a really great show to watch, and it has been a while since I've been in a type of physical theater dance show, so it was great and refreshing. I just want to hear a little bit of the choreography build-up, where they came from. It was you building everything, or a collaboration with the dancers? Yeah, if you want to share a bit about that part.
Well, it was, first of all, like, I was heavily reliant on you guys as collaborators, and I was proud to be, because I just think that, you know, I could sit here and go, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, but it's not as fruitful or as honest as if I actually set you a task. There's a couple of ways in. There are little games that we play, little sort of rules that I give you, like you have 1 count of 8, I have to see this, and then if I hate it, we let it go. If I like it, then we build on it, and we keep going, and we lengthen, and we whatever. So that aside, I also trained the actors at the beginning of every rehearsal. So warm-ups may usually take around, like, I don't know, 20 minutes, but for me, and in my practice, it's around an hour. And depending on if the collective is ready or at the stage with this particular method that I work with, it can go up to 2.5 hours. And it's under the belief of a method called the Teht Htoo Zin method. It's from Greece. And I've had the honor to essentially be ordained as a practitioner. And it's a method that believes in ecstasy and mania as the answer to characters. So it's a lot of actually very strict, around 30 plus movements to very, very specific breath, done in a very ritualistic way to then lead into different steps to eventually allow the body to be an instrument to receive instinct and to choreograph, but not from here, just from here. It sounds a little warpy, like not very, it doesn't sound particularly logical, but you just have to believe that, it's from this idea of cultivating instinct. I haven't been able to go as deep into that part of it because I had a necessity to, put up a show first, really. But that was a big foundation in our communication together, our physical communication. So it was a mixture of that and just really allowing, setting tasks and just trusting and allowing for them to tell me what to do and to show me what to do and to tell me no or yes. And, battle me on it if you really want to keep it in. So I gave you guys a lot of the freedom to do what you needed, and with the guidance, of course, that I could sort of implement. So that's how the choreography came to be. Yeah.
Lovely, thank you.